Jody.
Hey, how we doing, man? How we doing?
We're doing good. What a weekend.
Hey,
what?
How we doing, man? How we doing? Let me shut that off. Sorry. Rookie mistake.
Rookie mistake.
Man, I'm off my game, but I'm ready, though, because I'm telling you what, not so much a good day for the Australians and barely a good day for the North Americans, huh?
No, man, I don't know. I watched all 5 hours of that pay-per-view.
There were some matches I kind of ignored, which was kind of rude of me. But when it was like East versus East, I really didn't pay attention. I had some friends over from out of town that were practicing with us. We were training for an event we got coming up in a couple weeks. So we kind of did that. But my buddy had it on his phone. So we're kind of like, oh, so-and-so's pulling. Drop, go over there. Oh, man, go back, pull. What's the in-between rounds? We drop everything and go over there. So it was cool. It was fun. But I'll tell you what, before we even get into it, Ryan, do you know how good we are to the point we can start early? We got everybody still in the chat, and we started early.
We started early. We let them know. I made a post on YouTube here. So a lot of the people will be tuning in probably around the normal time, but we did let some people know we're going to be here early. So we appreciate you all turning in just a little bit early to make sure we have enough time to get this done.
Thank you much, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. And do not forget to like and subscribe this channel right here.
Yeah, and in the comments section or in the video description, we have Jody's link there too. So hit his channel up. Make sure you hit subscribe. I've got my list. I've got my list sitting next to me with all the names that I picked.
There's my list right here. Okay.
Yeah. So you want to go in the same order? Because
yeah. Just go ahead and do that. Just go ahead from your list, and I'll go ahead and go from there.
We had Ryan Bowen versus Coach Ray.
That match probably had more significance than any other match in there. I mean, there were actually like two matches that the whole world wanted to see and want to know what the outcome was going to be, that being one of them. And what that told me, and it was even more juicier, and everybody, please chime in, ask questions. Did you watch the press conference, Ryan?
I did not.
The press conference.
There was a lot of shit talking in there.
That was interesting. I mean, some of the stuff, it was even shit talking. It seemed like more vicious between those two. There was like kind of funny poke jab shit talking between Cody Merritt with the sippy cup, but we'll get to that later. Yeah, I was wondering and curious what Ryan was going to do because all this time off, right? Some people say he's, delusional, whatever, call it what you want. But at the same time, you got to realize that, okay, Ryan, you've been telling the whole world how good you are. Good. Now show it.
And I maintain what I said the other night. Coach Ray is not a world elite arm wrestler. I don't believe he is. I believe he's on his way there, but I don't think he's there yet. So Ryan, here is that's an interesting statement. I'm going to put it on the screen while I talk. But if I'm going to take away anything that's really positive for Ryan Bowen, it's the fact that he did an amazing job on commentary. Ryan Bowen filled the time. He did a crazy good job on commentary. As an arm wrestler, he got his ass handed to him by somebody that he led us to believe he should beat.
Well,
and he's calling out the guys like Sasho. He's calling out the Rob Vigent Juniors. He needs to stop that right now.
Hell, I will drop 10, 12 pounds and kick his ass myself.
So that's where he's at. Maybe Coach Ray is better than I think he is, but Ryan Bowen did not perform. He made some weird video about not having to enhance for this match or something. Maybe he should have. It wasn't even close. It was not close.
I'll say this. I've never met Ryan in person, so I don't know what he brings to the table, but I will say this. I met Coach Ray back in April at Arizona State when Arm Sports Entertainment had that big super match card, and Coach Ray pulled Artem. And we did a little clip interview in my hotel room and stuff. And then after the event, we did some after pulling. Now, I know some people don't hold practice or after pulling in high regard, but I will say me and Coach Ray got on there, and he's got some tools. Is he elite? I mean, that depends on who we're talking about. I mean, I think right now, and I told you on the show last week that a lot of it depends on table rust. Ryan has all kind of table rust. I'm not saying some of the events he does were nothing, but Coach Ray's been doing these king of the tables, East versus West, arm wars. He's been putting himself out there. And I told you and the whole world out there that, hey, I'm telling you, it's going to come down to that, you know? So, and it showed itself.
I don't even know if it's table rust. I mean, that's an easy thing to say that would give him an out, but I don't believe it is that, because Ryan was never that active an arm wrestler anyway. He'd take the odd super match here and there, and he'd be pulling with his guys in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Or he'd pull the tournament down there, and I don't want to go too hard on him, but when you talk the way he talks, it's hard to not give him a hard time when something like that happens. So you got to eat all those words. Now, Ryan, as far as knowledge goes,
top of the line.
He was an amazing commentator. He kept it full. He had great explanations as to what was going on. I can't think of anyone that would have done a better job, to be honest. So I'll give him a big win on putting himself out there as one of the top commentators in the sport. As far as the competition side, well, Coach Ray handed him his ass, went and put on a flower shirt, and then took the stage.
I'll say this. I think before I get delusional, because I'm tired, but I think Bowen has the potential to be another Neil pickup, or maybe even Ingen as far as knowledge.
Yeah, 100%.
That I will say that.
About other people. Because about himself,
right?
He clearly has some reality to process.
Well, what's next? Basically, every single question after these matches are going to say, what's next, right? So,
well, with Ryan, I mean, what's next is Ingen should book him every time for commentary. Yeah. And with Ray, I mean, I heard he was already getting called out by somebody. So, he's definitely going to have a match. I think everyone that won is guaranteed, to continue on.
Right. Next up, what we got?
We got Derek Smith versus Revez. As predicted, but surprising how easy he made it look.
I had Revez winning 3-1, but
I had him sweeping, and I was a little surprised because you saw the size discrepancy between the two. Like, Derek looked like the bigger, stronger guy, but that's deceiving. And when they said Revez said he was at 60%, I'm like, okay, well, here comes maybe a chance for Derek. And if that guy was 60% and he did that to Derek Smith, look out for that guy.
Well, okay, so here's a question. If he's at 60%, what exactly is 100%?
That's right. That's what I want to know. What is 100%?
Because some of these guys are coming to these big matchups. They're not, I don't think Brzenk was 100%. Who was the guy that pulled Ron Bath in the last one? I don't think he was 100%. So these guys are taking these matches. And if usually a few months in advance. So sometimes if you get sick, you get sick. But, sometimes you have these matches, you kind of go, okay, well, you got to be 100% because you have to make that as much as possible because you know what? You may or may not get the opportunity again, Yeah.
Yeah. So there's not really much more to say about that, although I do agree with Mikhail in the chat that Derek should, probably reestablish himself in North America. The issue is I think Engen's going to keep offering these guys matches. But
at what point, as a puller, do you say to yourself, okay, I'm 0 for 2 on the biggest stage? And yes, I mean, honestly, and I see where this is going. If Engen called Derek and says, hey, I got something for you in November, do you turn it down? No. I mean, you go ahead and you take it if you can do it. But at what point, as a professional athlete, do you go, okay, I'm getting my ass kicked over the pond time after time? Because didn't Derek lose 3-0 the last match he pulled at East First West?
I don't remember.
I thought he lost 3-0. So I'm thinking, okay, now you're 0 for 6. You didn't get one match in. And this is no shade at Derek, but I think now we're at a point where, okay, Derek, let's just calm down pump the brakes for a second. Now we need to go, okay, maybe I should look at those matches versus Corey West. You know, maybe I should look at the match versus a Matt Mask or a Wayne Withers. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, maybe a Zurab match.
Stack says Derek's strength just doesn't complement his size. I feel he's better of staying back here at home and do some domestic matches. Yeah, exactly. And that's a Stack. That's a good point. Derek's his own live feed. He said, "I'm gonna just go back to the lab, get some work in, and probably maybe do a couple tournaments, or maybe even some matches here, countryside,
Well, I found when I watch Derek's style, it's almost like for a guy that size, he tries to set up way too compact. That doesn't allow him to. When Chance was talking about how he didn't get a chance to engage,
yeah,
I kind of agree with that. Like he sets up in a way where his levers don't look like they can fully activate in the space between his start position and the pin.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that he's setting up like, you ever tell everyone to get tight, but there's a spot in between your start that, you have to get stretched out to fully engage sometimes. And Derek just looked like he was setting up so compact and he had nowhere to go. He had nowhere to go.
You're kind of like this, loose, stay tight, but loosen up a little bit.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's a technical thing, but we'll see.
Well, I'm sure he's looking at film and kind of going, okay, I think this time was it my imagination the last time he was on the East vs. West, it was more like, hey, do you want to pull? Oh, yeah, I'll do it. It wasn't like he knew about it and trained for it, because he said this time that he was really ready for it, strong as all can be, and all that kind of his numbers were up, lifts were looking amazing, so but hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Jay Clean, Cody Merritt.
Cody Merritt wins for best mustache.
You like that, huh? Macho Man's in the house. All right.
We got Corey Miller versus Daniel Prokopchik, and this one I called too, but that was hard to watch, man. That was, but I knew it was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen because Cory is excellent, but Cory has not been as active, and he doesn't have the world pedigree of Daniel. Daniel is top notch, like he is world elite, and I just don't think this was a good matchmaking at all.
Well, there's something to be said when you go against some of his guys who actually, and it's not like Cory's never been to Worlds before. He's been there before, but
yeah, but has he come out on top of these guys?
Right, but in comparison to what Daniel does, it's like, okay, we're talking a guy that does the WAF, European, Moldova, you name it, and actually done very well in those events. And and like I said, man, it's weird, but you want our guys, North America, you want our guys to go over there and do well. And it seems like this is where, okay, the North American guys, depending on who you are, we don't compete on an international level like these guys do. We just don't. That's just, our international is a little bit different compared to theirs, because they can still go to, well, Moldova's was only a 2-time event, but when you go to Europeans, classes are stacked top to bottom in each weight category. The WAF, still stacked, even though with all the, garbage going on, top to bottom. You go to USA or maybe even Canada, there's not many of us that actually compete on those high levels anymore. I think with the other events going on now, when Wall came up and got predominant, we just said, hey, you know what? Why should we go over there and compete at a high level? We can stay right here in our own country and battle that. Let those guys come over here for a change. So that's when you had people from Wagner would come over. You know, I would love to see Prudnick over here, but we'll get to him later. You had Gabriella came over. We're talking Brazil came over. Sweden came over. You know, Nanastad, Norway with the smiling dude. You know, I'm telling you, man, why go over there and we can do that here? You know, Froder Hoagland. There you go. Sorry.
You know, you have a point. I mean, maybe we'll see a little bit of different stuff when they come here, but yeah, I don't know. But I mean, here's this next match we're going to talk about is this weird situation where there's three guys in mind I have where one can beat the other one, and the guy that he can beat the other one, and the guy he can beat the other one. So it's like
it's called parity.
The styles making matches has never been more of a case when you talk about Chance Shaw versus Zurab. You got Chance going in there and doing what I did not expect. I mean, his move is his move. I just didn't expect him to win. Granted, he is a much, much larger guy than Zurab, but yeah, and Jay has it. Ron Bath is the guy I'm talking about. Ron Bath can beat Chance Shaw, but Zurab beats Ron Bath. So it's interesting, man. Like it's fun. But then you got Zurab coming over here, and he's gonna face Porkchop, which is a style of match that plays right into Zurab's power. But Chance just stayed outside and just basically wrote the blueprint for how to beat that guy for all future opponents.
Well, here's the deal. Not everybody pulls the same style. And this is your typical, styles make matches, like you said. And there's a counter for every move. Yep. In this sport, there's a counter for every move. A counter for the hook, press, top roll, low hand, king's move, posting, whatever. Call it what you want. There's always a kryptonite move for that. But Chance is tried and true. I'm glad he got the win. I don't want people saying, well, yeah, because he outweighed him by such and such. Doesn't matter because
Well, they also make the point that Zurab has the arms of a guy that's 300 pounds,
True. I was concerned because I was wondering that was the 2-week layoff after his match with Ron Bath enough time to recover? Because it wasn't like Chance lost 3-0 or Chance won 3-0 against Bath. He had some grinders. I mean, after the first two matches, and he was kind of holding Ron and bringing him back. I think that during the later rounds, they might have depleted him. So I was wondering, man, did it take so much out of him? I don't know. But I will say this. I'm very happy for Chance because Chance puts himself out there. And this is what I respect about Chance. Big names. He's going out there. If he loses, fine. You get up, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, get back on the horse. That's Chance Shaw in a nutshell. I'm going to keep coming because sooner or later I'm going to break that door down. And I don't know if you call the BLM match a door breakdown. But
no, I don't because I just don't think that was. I mean, that was a pretty easy one to predict.
Yeah, but I think for Chance's psyche, he needed that win to kind of get some momentum going.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And then now it's like, oh, okay, now he done broke the door, and okay, here we go. Okay, he got the win. So now it's looking good now. And Chance is like, okay, now what? Well, we know he has BJ Fokakis on December 10th at the Monster Factory event. So that's a big one because I think he's like 6'7". I don't know. Something
BJ's
like that.
A big guy. Chance had a different look about him too at this event. Like he looked super confident. I've seen him come into matches where he kind of doesn't have that look about him. You know what I mean? But when he came in to pull Zurab, I was like, okay, well, he looks like he's ready.
Well, I mean, he was smacking people in flip-flops. Did you see the picture of that? He's pulling in flip flops.
Well, I practice in flip flops almost exclusively.
You know, that's impressive to me. But kudos to Chan Shaw. I'm glad he got the win. And again, what's next? Well, we know in December. So good for him.
We got pardon me, Lachlan Adair versus Sandra Settis. I predicted that one accurately.
Let me see. Who did I have? Oh, hell. Well, I had Sandra's 3-0, so.
Me too.
Well,
not a lot to talk about there. I mean, pretty clearly, it was pretty dominant. He even hooked him at the end and kind of held him there.
I've never been to Australia, and it's probably nighttime right now. And for those who don't know, it's wintertime right now. Wintertime over there. I'm not sure how good that country is. Like, if Lachlan Adair and Ryan Bowen are your go-to guys for that country, and they get put on these cars and they just get annihilated, I'm like, dude, like, how good are you guys? If you guys didn't talk as much as you do, then it wouldn't be as bad. I don't think they would get as much backlash, honestly.
Very true. And I don't know, maybe the gravity is different down there, but all these numbers they post, I don't know. It's weird. Like, Sandris is for sure a top tier guy. Right. You recognize that name. If you know arm wrestling, you've done some research, he's been around, he's done some things. Australians talk their way into it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wish I could talk my way into matches. That'd be awesome. But sometimes you just got to go out there and earn them. But all you need is that opportunity, and you got to make the most of it, you know?
Yeah. High profile guys. Somebody pointed out the fact that a ton of these guys that lost all have YouTube channels.
Yeah. I made that comment.
You did. That's right.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, honestly,
I wasn't going to call you out on it, but I found it interesting.
I'll call myself out on it. I mean, I'll be the first to admit. Now, am I dogging him? No, because Cody Merritt's in the chat. He's watching. Love you, Cody. Cody Merritt has a YouTube channel. Todd Hutchings, YouTube channel. Ryan Bowen, YouTube channel. John Brzenk, YouTube channel. Do you see where I'm going with this? Like, I'm not picking on nobody. It's just dawned on me, like, man, these guys got YouTube channels, and I'm always Derek Smith YouTube channel. So I was kind of wondering when these guys are going to go on there. And Derek's already been on his and kind of gave you the post comments about the event, but it made me wonder, like, what were they going to say? I was kind of interested to see from their perspective. Not that I was dogging them because Chance has a YouTube and he won. Jerry has a YouTube and he won. So it's not so much that, but I'm like, I'd love to hear from their perspective what they thought, like, okay, what went wrong? What do you think you need to work on? Things like that. What's next for them? That's what I was trying to get to, So yeah,
maybe it's just the fact that, Jay's pointing out that Coach Ray has, maybe one of the best ones. Yeah. But we have, a ton of these guys that are all going to do follow-ups and talk about this event. And by the way, the event seemed to be flawless.
Yeah.
As far as the production values, the stream not getting disrupted, like Ingen, whoever's doing it ironed out all the issues from last time, it seems.
A couple of things I want to say. Warren goes, I believe the talking is to bring attention to Australian arm wrestling to encourage more people to take up arm wrestling. I'd say that would be a good thing. And yeah, I mean, what they're doing is bringing attention to them. I think the fact how they're doing it as far as themselves is like going, okay, if you're constantly, talking up, I'm the best, and you go out there and you start laying eggs, I'm like, okay, I mean, at some point, I think once they get that meaningful win, I think the monkey will be off their backs. And the other comment I want to say was, who was that? Kira won. Just wait for Bowen's match in Arm Wars against Bogdan Stoica. That's going to be funny. So apparently they already had the match, or at least they're going to.
That's not going to be fun. That's not going to be funny. I think Bogdan is going to destroy him.
Cody Merritt, here's my review. I got my ass kicked. Cody, look, man, I think the whole world wanted you to win. Okay. And I was pulling for you. I'm like going, come on, Cody. I'm thinking hopefully Dave wore him down enough to where, okay, you're fresh as a daisy. And then he was kind of depleted at some point. Granted, it was different arms, but do you want to go into Cody's match next or no?
He's not next in my order, but we'll get to him.
Okay.
But let's talk. Some guys are mentioning Underwood. Yeah, I thought Underwood. That was the one criticism is he could have learned people's names and they could have done a walkthrough a little more efficiently where he's not just standing there wondering what to say kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you know what? First time he's over there. Fair enough.
Yeah.
We got Youssef versus Yurdalet. That was a great match, but
was that East versus East?
Yeah, it was East versus East.
Yeah, I probably sorry guys, I didn't pay attention to that.
It was a war of a match that kind of stayed at center for a lot of it. And of course, Kazakhstan gets the win over Turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, moving on then. Crazymere versus Iraqi.
Oh, before we go on, there's a comment. Only one thing could have made this event better if there weren't any empty seats.
I honestly didn't notice that.
When they scanned over, sometimes they have the view behind the ref, and then you can see all the crowd in the background. There were a lot of empty seats there. I will say that. I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah, I mean, I honestly didn't really pick up on that at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what do you think of Crazy after this match?
I think Crazy is a guy that is trying to maintain an unenhanced version of himself in an enhanced world, man. That's what I think. I think that,
and I love it.
And I applaud him for doing that. But he is going against a lot of guys that do not share his values. So matchmaking for Crazy, who is a legend in this sport, needs to be done very carefully.
At this point, if you take on these guys who are, and we'll use the word enhanced for a second, if you're taking loss after loss, do you think that, okay, maybe I need to go elsewhere promotion-wise? It's kind of hard to say no when England knocks on your door and go, hey, I have a match for you.
I would, for me personally, I would love to pull Crazymere in a tested event.
Yeah.
Maybe he just needs to stick to that.
Well, I mean, yeah, tested event. Hell, and I love that too. And I like what Jay Clean was saying, yeah, hurts me to see that too, because there's a guy, it's like, look, you know what? I'm going to prove to you I can beat some of the elite clean.
But let's just say this about Iraqi. I mean, he just went through Marcio, man. Like, he is the elite is different than the elite was 5 years ago.
Yes, very different.
It's just Georgia is on a different level. I don't know if you threw in Devin Laird into the mix with guys like Iraqi and, I've been talking about like 240 Devin. I don't think he can beat any of them.
You don't think so?
No, man. I mean, the current version probably do pretty good. But back when he was in that weight class that was lower, if you threw in like the Iraqis and the Datacons and the Gasparinis into those classes, man, you don't see like the current versions of those guys. Like,
well, and now to pinpoint that, everybody was talking about, well, what's next for Devin? He's going on his country, cross country trip, but Devin should pull Hermes. Well, isn't Hermes now pulling Jerry?
Yeah, no. I think Devin should stay far away from Hermes.
I mean,
different tools.
Right.
With Levon, there was the chance based on the fact that Levon is not super explosive, and a guy like Hermes just seems to get more explosive as the match goes on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Weak points will always be weak points.
Right. And like I said, we'll see one of these days what Devin does. But even England's like, I heard I think he was on the Fix with Neil Pickup, and I was listening to that as I was working last night. And England said, "Hey, I've been getting a hold of Devin. He just either doesn't call me back or doesn't, it's been like crickets because he wants Devin on one of those cars." But
it's a hard time, man. Like for guys that were considered to be, top 3 on the planet, there's some truth telling that's coming. And I just don't think that it's wise for him to, I don't know. It's almost going to have to be protectionist or something, but
yeah,
like Morozov, I want nothing to do with that guy. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, Ryan, I got one coffee cup down, and I am going with my second one right here. So,
well, then let's go right to Chaffee and Morozov, which, Chaffee looked good. Just the styles, the gas tank drained. And the one thing I keep noticing is all these older North American arm wrestlers going against these young killers.
If we went by age deal situation, our older guys would smack their older guys.
100%. Well, their older guys are all laid up and retired, man.
Yeah. And we just keep on plugging on. So our young studs are like.
Well, you had Gennady is a bit of an older guy. He's in his 30s.
Yeah.
For them, he's one of their older guys.
Right.
So we'll get into him in a bit, but you got Chaffee going against a guy that isn't even scratched his potential, and he beats him. Mind you, they were amazing matches, and even in that final match, when Dave got the strap, we thought, okay, he's got a shot here, and he did, but the tank was just a little bit too empty. If Dave could have got the strap in round 3, I think Dave Chaffee would have won that match 3-0, but he didn't. Right. And Morozov pulled off the win. And Dave has got no excuses other than he just got beat. And that's kind of why we like Dave Chaffee too. He just kind of does his thing and that's it.
Well, he even said, I think he made a comment saying if it was the best of 3, it would have been fine. But
of course, he would have won 2 matches in a row, and that was right. It. But these guys are super match specialists now. So you can take a couple losses and, some of them are giveaways just to figure out or drain a guy a little bit. It's a lot more strategy that's going into these super matches than if you pull in a tournament. It's a completely different. Well, Neil says it's almost a different sport. He's kind of right.
Yeah, I can piggyback on that because the guys that are taking these, these super matches, Brzenk, Hutchings, Chaffee, Todd, list goes on and on from North America, right? You're at a point now where you don't need to pull tournaments. Those guys don't.
No.
They've been there, done that. because let's be real. John Brzenk is well-renowned, cool. Dave Chaffee has a WAF title. Doesn't need to do it. Not so much Toddzilla. Not so much Michael Todd. Ron Bath has a world title. WAF world titles. These guys get it. They don't have to do. If Travis ever wants to come back, but I think he's at a point with his career where it's not even relevant no more as far as competition-wise. But even Travis, he's won his WAF title. So it's like as soon as you win the WAF title, there was nothing more to do unless you want to just stack that resume like Gabby does and just keep stacking them and add to your, accolades. But once you reach the pinnacle, it's almost like, I don't need to do this anymore. But Toddzilla, even though he doesn't have a WAF title, well, guess what? He took a different path. He's well-renowned, Michael Todd, same thing. Doesn't have a WAF title, but he has every title in every other organization I can think of, So there's something to be said for that.
And Chaffee won a WAF title.
Yep.
In a drug-tested event.
2010.
In a lighter weight class.
242.
Yeah. But he won. It was a tough class, and he won.
Yeah.
All right. So the one thing that I get nervous for a little bit for Dave. Yeah, Stacks point this out that when Morozov held him off at the end of round 2, people got nervous, and I was one of them. But the thing that makes me a little bit sad is the fact that, Dave Chaffee being an older guy and Morozov being like 24 or 25 years old, you can't really imagine a world where Dave Chaffee can make a comeback and get a win back on him when this young guy's trajectory just seems to be on the rise rapidly.
I think Dave's around the same age as me, give or take. I'm 46, right?
Me too.
And I have a daughter who's 24. So take that, think about that. I have a daughter who's 24, a son who's 20. And basically, guys like us are pulling guys that age. Like, their age does play a factor at some point. I'm not going to say that's the reason why Dave lost. I think it's just he just tapped out toward the end,
Yeah. Devin Larratt, 47 years old. I mean, it's nuts, man. I guess I can answer the question a little bit. But I mean, we're relying on the Chance Shaws, the Cory Wests to pick up the pork chops, even to pick up the North American arm wrestling scene.
Pretty much.
At some point, we're all going to be done. Unless, like Jody, you and I will probably arm wrestle for 25 more years, but we'll probably hang out in our Masters or Grandmasters division and go to the Worlds.
Yes.
I'm not sure these pros will do that, where they have to, make that concession and maybe take a step backwards in their own mind.
I've had conversations about this very thing, and thank you, Jay Clean. I'll be 47 in February. So I've had these conversations before, where my age, I'm same age as, Devin, Travis, you, Dave, we're all like in the same age range. But I think the reasons why those guys don't pull is Masters because they think it may be a downgrade. I had to talk about a guy that trained me, and he was, he's 51 now. He was like, no, I'll never do that because it just tells me that I'm washed up. It's not that. It's just
but
the reason why
you can prove it one of two ways. You can go down there and still enjoy the sport and compete, or you can accept the fact that you are washed up when you can't win anymore.
Well, here's my thing. Am I an elite arm wrestler? No. Okay. No, not in. No. Okay. If I ever want to attain a national title, okay, if I ever want to attain a world title, doesn't matter what federation, I know I'm a realist. There's no way I'm going to do that in the open class or seniors, I guess, if we're talking world competition. There's no way I'm going to do that. If I want to attain that goal, it would have to be in the Masters. That's just what it is, because that's still one of my major goals I want, in this sport. I would love to get there, love to stay on the podium. I've done it before on a couple occasions, but it wasn't first place. But the fact that, if I'm going to do it, it has to be in damn it, in a few more years, it'll be Grandmasters. But nonetheless, if I ever want to do that, it has to be at that level. Because with these young studs, hell, look at the guys over there across the pond. We're talking guys who are 23, 24, 25, 26, and they're just fucking taking us to the woodshed,
Yeah.
Let those guys have at it, because there's no way I'm going to compete at that level with guys that young. That's just the way. I'm just being honest. I'll still pull up in tournaments here, don't get me wrong, but on a grander stage, if I want that title, I'm going to have to do it going down the Masters path. That's just the way it is.
Well, let's move on.
Yes.
We can wrap the two matches into kind of the same conversation.
Okay.
Because they're the same two opponents, Gabby versus Egla. Gabby pulled it out. Gabby looked incredibly strong.
When did she not look strong?
Round 4 against Sarah.
Well, yeah, but see, I think that's more like I got my 4 wins. So if I lose, oh well. But then she got smart and goes, you know what? I'm not willing to risk any injury for a match I mathematically won already. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Egla, I mean, she still took Gabby deep in that left-handed match.
Yeah. And even Gabby in the press conference, Gabby said she's the one that's really, I think she said she's never beaten her before, or she's been in the last couple times or something like that. But that's something. If there's a match for anybody out there that you really want to beat, you would dig deep for it. Ryan, who would that be for you?
Oh, probably if I had another shot at Travis.
Yeah, I mean, at some point it's like, okay, I really want that match back, but you just didn't do it, But Gabby knows, and God, are we in a time where we start comparing Gabby to like? That might be off base, but her credentials speak a lot. So, do we start putting her in a conversation with Luann up in Canada? Dot Jones, maybe?
No, she's beyond them.
Think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Sure, because she's like the person, all time lady puller.
All those ladies that you mentioned and more have enjoyed a snippet of time at the very top. Gabby has been there for decades.
It's almost the Gabby Invitational.
Yeah. So she is, in my opinion, the greatest female arm wrestler of all times.
Yeah.
There's a couple arguments, but they're, in European arm wrestling where there's some ladies that might come back at some point and try to set it straight. But I don't know if this Gabby is within their reach.
We're talking on an international stage. She's think about it. Any organization Gabby's been on, she's dominated.
Yeah.
East versus West, she's done it. She did against Sarah Bachman and Wall and King of the Table. She's done it multiple times, multiple years on the WAV stage. Like,
there was
Vika, you know what? I'm done.
If you had like this is a generational thing. It's like saying, could Morozov beat Scott Norton? That kind of comparison, right?
Right.
We can't do it because there's no way they'll ever face each other. It's like saying, is it LeBron or is it Michael Jordan? There's no way to effectively do it, even though I know what the answer is.
Well, would you take a Richard Lucky's in his prime versus Levon?
No, I wouldn't.
And I'm only saying that. I mean, strong power for power. Richard was the guy. Only issue is that, Clayton Faulkner, new member. All right. Only reason is because Richard never had training partners, but he was all just side pressure. Like, he never had any kind of technique. He wasn't really polished. Go look. It was always, that was it. Yeah. He relied on that.
But that was a hard style to pull.
Yeah. And sit downs, he crushed everybody. Yeah. But, when you have to stand up and do actual technique, then,
So there's two arguments. There's Irina, who could technically still come back.
Right.
And then there was Vika Gabakova, who was, early or in the 90s and even in the early 2000s, super heavyweight women's champ from Russia that never even broke a sweat going through the competition most of the time.
Right.
But then there's, Dot from way back in the Yukon Jack days.
Yeah,
Joyce King for a period of time was at the very top.
Yeah.
But they enjoyed a period of time where they were the best.
Yeah.
but nobody maintained it as long as Gabby has done that. And yeah, she's taken some losses. Irina is one that probably I don't think Gabby's ever beat her.
Right.
But we just saw Gabby beat someone that she's never really beat. Yeah, even Scott knows who I'm talking about. Vika was just plain scary, he says. It's it's a tough comparison, but let's move on because
Yes.
Gabby is the GOAT and we should just acknowledge her as such.
Cheers, Gabby.
Bojadar versus Davit.
That match was just like, and I had Bojadar winning 3-2.
I actually had Davit winning that because I thought Bojadar might have been a little undersized, and maybe I'm not getting that right, but I picked Davit.
Is it Davit or David? No, it's Davit. Okay.
Who knows? I'm sure Don Underwood has said it 3 different ways on this show. But.
Bojadar. And, again, like, I knew nothing of Davit, so it was hard for me. That's why I went with Bojadar. It's hard when you have guys you don't know or not familiar with.
Yeah.
Sorry. Davit, I apologize.
Yeah, and, so Davit was the 85 kilogram champ, and Bojadar was one class below. So there you go. We had 2 WAF champs going head to head, and the bigger guy came out on top. Although Bojadar winning match 1 was impressive, and the wars were also pretty awesome. So it was an entertaining match.
Bojadar's only 21 years old. Good Lord.
And then Oleg Zok versus Datacon.
Our left-hand guy.
Yeah, and Oleg just does not seem at the form that he used to have.
Yeah. Do you think the car wreck did something to that?
I think he's not quite back to where he was.
Right.
I think he's not quite back.
And it's been like 3 years maybe now. 3, maybe 4 years since that car wreck.
Yeah. So maybe he won't be, but maybe that other guy's just that good.
And again, that's a guy I'm not familiar with.
Well,
I will be now, but I'm just
he's
not
250 pounds. So he's significantly larger than Oleg. But then you try to.
But we've seen just dominate. But we've seen Oleg dominate push car left-handed.
Yeah,
and the weight was different. So,
Yeah, the other guy, super intense, vicious, dominant. Saplenkov's training partner, looking for matches in any weight class now.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Who we got next?
And then somebody mentioned in the chat here that Oleg said at the press conference that he was at 50% of his previous form. That's not good.
Okay, so here's a question, Ryan. If you, and this is a personal question, if Ingen got a hold of you, says, hey, I want you on the next card, or Neil Pickup says, hey, I want you on the next Arm Wars, and you're at 50%, are you taking the match? And it's like, hey.
Depends.
if they said, hey, we're going to give you Gennady, are you taking the match at 50%?
No. No, not at 50%.
Exactly. So it's like, why would you take the match at 50%? But like I said, I mean,
I don't know.
We already got guys ready for the next East versus West. So you guys know months in advance. Why are we still 50? Why are we at 50%? Unless it's like a sickness, an illness. That's probably something you can't control for the most part. But why are we not there? I mean, it's almost, to me, I look at it like this. It's a disrespect to the promoter and maybe your opponent if you got this big match coming up and you're not hitting on all cylinders. And it's like, well, I'm only at 50%. Then why are we taking the match?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, unless you think you're good enough at 50%. But clearly that was not the case.
Because are we at a point now where if someone knocks on your door, knock, knock, hey, I got a proposition for you. Do you want it? And if you are we at a point now where if we say no, then you might not get the opportunity again, or what?
Maybe. You know, this guy, he did say that he doesn't want to cut weight ever again. He doesn't believe there's any competition for him in the lower classes. And as I'm watching this event, I'm also kind of shopping. I'm looking for guys that maybe I'll potentially arm wrestle in the future. And this is kind of the guy that I thought, you know what? A left-handed match. That would be
how much does he weigh?
He's over 250, I think.
Okay.
But I mean, that guy, I assume that if he got a super heavyweight match, he'd be 285 when he showed up. You know.
Woo. I'm glad you're shopping. I like that. I like that you're watching these matches, you're taking notes, you kind of going, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Ah, man. Onward and upward.
Yes.
Our left-handed match that we need to talk about. Cody Merritt versus Artem Morozov.
Cody, you're still in the chat. I hope you are. He said basically he's got his butt kicked. I mean, that's basically what it was. And
well, it was a little more complex than that. I mean, Cody was not defenseless. He was not defenseless.
Seemed like he was being defensive.
He was. But when a guy is a little bit stronger than you, and I don't think it was a lot stronger, I think it was a little until Cody got tired. Mm-hmm. But when you're a little bit stronger, I mean, 5 pounds of pressure can make you look like an amateur against somebody if they're 5 pounds stronger than you in a certain plane of movement. So Morozov comes in, he gets a position, Cody holds him off. He bleeds Cody very, very quickly. And then it was all Morozov after that.
Yeah. That might be a strategy most people might start doing now, where, okay, I'm going to bleed my opponent and just see what he has in the gas tank left.
Well, we all know that Cody is probably not going to try to turn Morozov inside. So once the riser is bled out, what else are you going to do?
Flop?
I don't know that I've ever seen Cody Merritt try that at all.
I have, when he beat Robbie Topi.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You got two.
But then again, you got to take into consideration that at that point, there was a chunk of bone missing out of Cody's arm.
True.
Yeah.
When you got two guys who top roll, that's their main goal, and they're going like this. And, someone's hand's going to go pop like that. When you go back here, then it's time just to drive forward,
Yeah. Well, Cody for sure is number 1 in North America. Corey West might have something to say about that. Artem might be the left-handed Levon.
It's looking like it.
So, yeah, GB says wasn't any lanes. I agree. There was nothing that Cody could have done better in that match. But that kid, man, he is something else.
Yes. All right. Clayton Faulkner says, hello, guys. I was very nervous about competing at 220 at the Nationals in Winnipeg, but didn't do too bad. Yes, I did see that, Clayton. You did fairly well at 220. So congrats on that. And he goes, my new goal is to be called Lightning Clayton. Strikes before you hear thunder. Yeah. You know what?
Clayton
I read between the lines.
Just to talk shit about Jody Williams.
I read between the lines, Clayton. I think he's still bothered by that 2014 match we had.
Who won that match?
I did 3-2.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah.
We got to get Jeff Frank on. Clayton and Jeff Frank, man. If you want to run that back, I would love to run that back.
Jeff Frank's been trying to call me, so either he has something good to tell me or something terrible to tell me.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah.
Who's next?
All right, man. Well, let's get on to Hutchings versus Prudnick, which My God, like Jake Clean just sums it up perfectly here with this comment.
Morozov's dominance really begs the question: how fucking good is Prudnick? He handled Morozov easy at East West West too. You know what? Watching Todd and Prudnick, I felt like I got kicked in the nuts.
Well, I picked Prudnick to win the match.
I didn't think it was going to be a sweep, though.
I didn't think it was going to go down like that. In his class, I don't think there's anyone left.
Was it Jay Clean that sat on the show and said, hey, I think Prudnick is the best, what do you say, under 220 puller or something like that?
110 kilo and under probably in the world.
It was something like that. And I was like, okay, I can't wait to watch that. You know what? If he wasn't dead on, because I was like,
well, who else at 220 or 110 kilos is going to beat him?
Exactly.
There's no one out there. It's super heavyweights now.
I saw that and I was like going, all right, Todd, snap out of it. Okay, fine. It just, he looked different. Not like physically, it's just his demeanor on the table. Todd, it just looked different. Or was it just me?
He couldn't engage. I mean, when you have a guy that can keep you out of your power just by applying their own moves, their own pressures, and you cannot get into the move you feel comfortable in, it's going to be a long day. Well, and I thought we were going to see that with Jerry and Gennady. But more on that later.
I thought, and we all know Todd has a tendency, like if his wrist does go back, he can still pull from here.
Yeah.
But the torque that Prudnick has, it's hard. Very, very hard. Yeah. So I thought, okay, just get a bigger bite, lower grip, just a tad bit lower, get more of a bite. So that way you can kind of do this before he does pronate out, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, Prudnick he's a freak, man, and I don't think
highlight that last comment by Jay Clean.
Only lost rounds to Biaf when he tried to top roll. Yep.
And even Rush says, "What's up, Mr. Schrader? Good morning to you." Says, styles make matches. Again, here it is. How many people? I mean, and we'll take Chance for example. Top roller, right? Low hand, but top roller. Todd shut that angle down. Maybe Prudnick is a lot faster than Chance was, but it just goes to show you, anytime you do a super match, it's all about making adjustments, right? Why I always thought the odd number in the super match, the odd number match is always the most important one. I always thought, right?
Hey, Justin said Monster Michael Todd weighed in at 247 the other day. Think he could give Prudnick a match at 242? No, I do not.
He said, Michael Todd did say that because on his show, his podcast, the post, East versus West show, he even said on there, he goes, yeah, 247. But he never lost any strength, So I'm like,
I don't believe that.
That he's 247 or he's losing strength?
I don't believe that he has not lost any strength. Sometimes it's not so much the plane of movement strength, it's the connections between the plane of movements that you're lacking at that point.
Right.
It's just physiologically different when you weigh that much less. Now, I would buy into it, man. I would watch it. If Michael Todd could make 242 and they could give him a title match against Prudnick at East versus West, yeah, I'd watch it.
I think the last time Todd was even remotely in that area was when he went to 2014 Nationals, maybe, and he competed in the 242 class. I'm like, the fuck is this? And he had to beat Herman Stevens to win first. And I was like, the whole thing just didn't look right. He looked like he was just coming off his deathbed because you know, and granted, Michael Todd probably started at a 198 puller, but still, it's just, you know.
When I first met him, I think he was around 187.
Yeah, he was an actual model, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Ryan, off topic, can you highlight what Clayton Fulker put up there, please?
You want me to put that on there? Clayton just repeating his shit talking.
In case you didn't see, my new goal is to be called Lightning Clay because lightning strikes before thunder. Is it my imagination, or is he actually looking for a match with me?
I don't know. Maybe.
Ah. All right, Jeff Frank, I'm about to give you a call.
And then we got. Well, let's save this one to last. I want to talk about this one last.
Okay.
So let's go right to Mr. John Brzenk versus Unger Biaf.
So the Todzilla match kicked me in my left testicle, and then John Brzenk kicked me in my right testicle because. All right, so John's win. Let's get this. I thought Unger broke his wrist. The match where the first round one where he got in the strap and John, all of a sudden John just went snap, and I thought, I'm like, did he fucking snap his wrist like that? I've never seen anybody in a strap. Nonetheless, this is how strong John Brzenk is. Ryan, when you have somebody like this, right, in a strap, I mean, you can just finish like that, or you can go ahead into a press. But when you're like this, already pronated, but you have the wherewithal to go snap like this, like, I'm like, good Lord. Like, John was not messing around. You could see in his demeanor, like, I'm tired of screwing with you. Let's get this done and over with. But Unger had other plans.
Yeah, he looked incredible. He came back from a 1-0 lead. It was one of the most impressive things I've seen. John looked incredible when he came out. He looked like he was in good shape. He was aggressive, but he just couldn't get the job done.
And even I heard that John wasn't 100% either.
I mean, who is when they go into a super match? There's always something.
Well, John, it seemed like he can't even rest without. I swear to God, it seems like John, the minute he's done, he's tired. I'm gonna go get a drink of water, go back to my hotel. He has a message. Hey, next match, you want it? Like he doesn't get a chance to kind of rest and relax, you know.
Oh, they keep they want the legend around, man. They want him in all the events.
Well, yeah, because he's pulling Michael Todd in December. So,
well, 242, Michael Todd.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. All right, man. The saving grace.
The match of all matches. I even got up on social media and go, where the fuck is the elbow fouls? And as a referee, a certified referee myself, I've been known to miss a few things. Refs can miss things. We get it, right?
Well, when you're sitting there with Gennady's elbow off the back of the pad for a significant amount of time, and then when Jerry goes to pin him, they call the foul.
Yeah, I'm like, what in the flip is going on? Because I'm like going, and the replay angered me more because the down ref is actually sunk down, but he was looking at the hands, I guess. I'm like, don't you see what's going on right in front of you? Like, you actually to the angle, and he's like, okay, I'm looking, but I'm over here. But the actual elbow foul is like right here. Like, what are you looking at? You know?
Yeah, Jay Clean says they both had massive elbow fouls.
Yeah.
But the one we're talking about in particular is when Jerry was in his press and Gennady was off the pad, the back of the pad for like a significant amount of time. Now that is the problem. And somebody pointed that out. That, I think it was Bowen. That's the issue when the refs say they're not going to call the insignificant fouls. It's left to the discretion of the referee.
See, these rules is because now it's getting to a point now where it gets sloppy. This is where, you know, and I'm going to probably get hate for saying this, but we need to go back to the old style arm wrestling. Keep your elbow on the pad, WAF rules, call it what you want, because There's too many discrepancies. We're going to do WAF rules, but we're going to let a few things go. You can't do that because then you get matches like this, right?
Well, in the discussion Jerry was having with the ref said, well, there was like 100 fouls. I'm like, yeah, okay. Well,
okay, I get, but still, I mean, there was one match where Jerry came clear off the front of the pad.
Of course, Jerry came off the front lots. Some of it was when, there was a combination about I don't know, man, where I'm going with this. There is, it's
when you
it's
have
silly.
Jerry's press that comes at you, yeah, you're going to have more of a situation where you're going to have an elbow foul on Jerry because he comes at you rather than coming to the side. Where if you rotate and press to the side, there's a good chance you're not going to elbow foul because you're rotating this way. It's all about the angle, right? So I don't know if everybody can see this, but if I'm here, right, and I go to come, and here's Jerry's move. He's coming this way. Two things are going to happen. One, he's going to put a significant amount of pressure on your elbow. And two, he may come off the front of the pad by doing that. Or, you set up here and all of a sudden the press is more of a like you're swinging a golf club or you're swinging a baseball bat where you rotate your hips and everything this way. Now there's a good chance you won't because the angle I'm shooting at, I'm not coming at you. I'm coming this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is certain angles that you can probably do where you can probably get away with that move, but still be on the pad and not be in danger of getting the elbow fouls.
Mm-hmm. And Jay says, Jerry was, don't worry much, man. I blocked the porn bots as fast as they started. Jay Clean says Jerry was doing his patented push you off the back of the pad technique. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. However, Gennady was also going in that direction. So I don't know. Anyway, under the rules that we have to work with, Jerry, who I was super nervous about because Gennady looked pretty dominantly stronger than him off the first go, managed to get in a position and stretch out Gennady's arm just a little bit and came out on top of that whole thing, which is crazy.
I'm going to say this. Match 2, Jerry's win should have been the match that he won the thing with the shoulder press. Because every time he go in the flop and I'm like, okay, elbow foul, okay, restart. You go into again, elbow foul, restart. Now you're giving him more opportunities to find that lane to block that. When Jerry came up, got real tight because he's expecting the flop and Jerry zigged when, Gennady zagged. What happened? He came like this, came down on him, caught him off guard because he was prepared for the flop. So I'm thinking, stop fucking flopping because the more you're going to keep doing that as the elbow fouls occur and get the restart, the more he's going to figure out, okay, now I'm going to be a couple inches this way or a couple inches that way. You're going to make him to where he's going to block that. And Jerry kept going, Jerry kept going, Jerry kept going. Screw it. Go for that shoulder press. But I fear for Jerry to where I'm like, dude, I don't want that guy to have a heart attack up there.
That's exactly what Jay's talking about in the chat.
Man.
Well, he got the job done, and he's got Hermes Gasparini next.
Does that seem like a one-sided match? Because it wasn't too long ago, maybe 4 years ago, that a 220-pound Gasparini pulled Michael Todd and lost 3-2. And the 2 wins that Gasparini had were actual pins, whereas the 3 wins Michael Todd had were all elbow fouls.
Yeah.
But he was 220 then. Now he's, I don't know what he weighs now, but he's been at that weight for a while now. So.
Well, I don't know, man. I think the Gasparini now is going to be a lot harder.
And now Ingen has these world titles now. So it's like a world title match. Now he's implemented that in there, whatever that means.
Remember I said there was a lane to beat Jerry?
Yeah.
Gennady did not use it. He should have had someone call Travis Bajent.
Yeah, I mean, prior to it,
Prior to the match, yeah. And
But
ask what the lane was.
You honestly, knowing Travis and knowing how he feels about Europeans, Travis would have gave him some bullshit explanation anyway. Because he wants North America to win. I mean, damn. I mean, everybody knows that. If Gennady or one of his guys said, "Hey, Travis, what is the secret, or how can I beat Jerry?" Travis would have gave him some bullshit answer. Because Travis is like, "Nah, I don't want no European beating a USA guy." That's just my opinion.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. Ooh, I think that Jerry will get broken if he pulls Levon this way. Probably.
We need the first person to get a pin on the Levon version we know now needs to be praised. That guy's been 6-0 everybody since I think this top 8 thing started a few years back. He's been 6-0 everybody. Like, he comes with 2 things. Levon comes in these matches with 2 things in hand. His belt in one hand and a broom in the other, because he's just swept the competition. Seriously, like, the next person or the first person that gets a one, if Levon pulls somebody, hear me out, Ryan. If Levon pulls somebody, Levon wins, right? But he won 5-1. I'm telling you, the whole world is going to go crazy for that one win that person will get on Levon. That's how dominant Levon is right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
That's just my opinion, because he's that damn good. And now, instead of who's going to beat Levon, who's going to get the pin on Levon? Let's start baby steps. Let's minimize that for a second. Who's going to be the first guy to get a pin on Levon?
Yeah.
Not talking about the Sabin. The last time, because he's always coming in every now and then. He comes to the chat because he's the last guy to actually beat him, I think. But still, I mean, he wasn't Levon now that he was then either, though. So,
yeah. Well, that's it, man. That's all the matches, and we've been on here a long time.
Hey, it was good though.
Yeah,
because that was a mega. What was it? 3 hours? Because I was like, damn. At one point I was like,
it was 5 hours long.
Yeah, it was like, oh, we still got the Jerry match. Oh, we still got Tadzilla. Oh, we still got Brzenk. It's like going, man, the hits just keep on coming. So, but yeah, awesome card. Yeah, Brzenk Prudnick coming up. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yep. Well, thanks for joining us today, everybody, and we will be back with more great stuff next week.
We will.
And I'll find out what Jeff
Roddy, thanks a lot. Yeah, please do.
All right, buddy.
Please do.
Don't
take care, everybody. Love you guys. I'm going back to bed. See y'all later.